This one's gonna get rough.
Oh, you're damn right it's about to.
I am here to rebuke the black people who live in 2023, in the 21st century, and talk about slavery constantly, as if it happened to you, as if you were on some slave ship somewhere, as if you were on some plantation somewhere, you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call a baseball. In the sport of baseball, you have 3 strikes and then you're out. With those 3 statements, I think we may have just witnessed the quickest at-bat in the history of mankind. Now, if you know me and you know what I do, I could hit you guys over the head for 5 straight minutes on citations of the long-lasting effects of slavery, Jim Crow, debt peonage, the conceptualization of blackness in American society, etc. And if you truly want what you said you want at the end of your video,
if any one of you wants to come and deal with me on this one, bring it. I want all the smoke with you.
Then we can set up a time, place, I'll compile the list and we can get going. But right now, I'm going to focus on the entire premise of your objection. So happy Black History Month, and I am here to rebuke anybody who lives in the year 2023, in the 21st century, and still believes that history doesn't have consequences. Anybody who still refuses to accept the fact that from the millisecond you're conceived, the options you have available to you are determined by things that were outside of your control. Anyone who still clings on to this childish worldview that society's evolution stops with you. Anybody who refused to leave the "I wasn't born during the time, thus it doesn't affect me."
You who hasn't even lived 40 years. You who doesn't even remember what life before the internet looked like.
Line of thinking on a blacktop at your local kindergarten. Because if you sincerely believe that a nation in America, being a relatively new nation when compared to nations around the world, being founded with a certain group of people literally being property, their children being born into also being property, this system being so pivotal to this nation that it took the bloodiest war fought on American soil and threats of a whole secession to get rid of the system, only for that system to be reinstated by things like debt peonage, the caste system being upheld by segregation and Jim Crow, the financial opportunity of those people being stripped away through redlining, housing discrimination, exclusions from the GI Bill, exclusions from the Homestead Act, terrorism and hate crimes on Black Wall Street, the educational opportunity being stripped away by misallocation of resources, a property tax system that exists to this day funding public schools when certain people didn't even have property to fund schools with, leading to lower teacher quality, crowded classrooms, school-to-prison pipeline, and lack of preparedness for higher education, the humanity of a group of people being stripped away through incarceration, stereotypes, scientific racism, black codes criminalizing acts only if they were done by black people, a drug war, all of this leading to single-person households, continuing to contribute to the lowered likelihood of attainment for this group of people. And we haven't talked about healthcare, and we haven't talked about voting. Did Martin Luther King Jr. have to be a literal fucking slave to realize the discriminatory effects of past racism and current racism?
Some of you even want free money. Somebody should come and give you free money because some person who had nothing to do with you was enslaved in Cuba 400 years ago.
Reparations is not and should never be free money. But something tells me you have not the faintest clue of anything you just spoke about. The way I view it, we can do one of 2 things. We can acknowledge our history in order to show how we got here today and as to not repeat it while continuing to better the country we live in. Or we can say, well, at least we got more rights than these guys.
You who lives in rich countries with rights and opportunities that most human beings on this earth cannot even fathom.
As we continue to look like the pure example of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So DM me on Instagram, and if not, do us a favor and
shut up and sit down.